are you?
I'm great in yourself.
I am well. I am well. I feel like I hear echo. Is
I
that
don't
me?
hear anything this week.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. How's it going?
Oh, good.
How was your
Just
week?
busy.
I know. I know. It's been bananas over here in these streets.
I just can't believe that 2024 is halfway done.
Halfway done. And I'm in my feelings. I was gonna mention this in the meeting after. I'm gonna have to set. I feel like I need to set some time, maybe even on my calendar, some intentional time to do these um, contract reviews or to do the look for the different things out there. I don't
You're
have
right.
time to do it, and I'm
Mhm.
like, this is driving me crazy. Like it's halfway here. I I feel some kind of way. It's on me though, but it's only one me, so I can't do it all.
But also I think possibly the workaround, because I know that's what I thought about. Like, you just have to network with more people who are in that space already, who just need what you have to offer. Because
Mm.
it's a lot. It's a
It's
lot
a
to try to.
lot. Yeah, you're right. That cuts down on some of that, look, because they're that's their job. They do that,
Mhm.
and then they need to figure out, who they need. So you're right about that. You're right about that. Maybe that's where I need to go. Okay. Well, now that I got that off my chest, I knew I could talk to you. You'll make it out right. Well, welcome to our Saturday morning tea where we discuss health information, news, education, certification tips, and entrepreneurship and task management. And also the revenue cycle at large. And as you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. I am Clarice Warner. I'm the girl with the pearls, the founder and senior education of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance and education. That's a mouthful. Now, let me ask you before we go on, do you know what it takes to be a certified marketable medical coder? Do you? Hmm. Well, before I introduce my co host, let me share with you information on a free, yes, free 99 email course on the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder. I'm gonna have to add a little tail to that though. I feel it in my spirit. I just need just a little bit more. That'll be the remix.
There you go.
Right. So, if you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder, then check out the video description for the link. So, joining me today is my co host, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia. I have been in healthcare for over 30 years. In 2014, I transitioned away from the bedside into HIM, and then during the pandemic in 2020, I created a company called the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
And how is all of that working out for you?
It's coming along. And actually, after the meeting, I'm going to be knee deep in Python for the afternoon.
Well, look at God. All right. The snakes is crawling. You better get it. You better get it. I'm okay. Yeah, we'll talk about we'll discuss. We'll discuss. All right, all right. So let's see who's all in the house today. Good morning, crafty coder or on the street correspondent. Good morning, the healthcare business consultant. Good morning, Molly. Good morning, Vicky. Welcome, welcome. All right, all right. Okay, okay. Welcome everybody. It feels real early. I don't know if it's because of the week. I don't know if what it just feels real early. I swear it feel like it's 5 o'clock a.m.
It's because it's June.
Is that what it is? It feels real early. All right. So before we jump in, let me remind you that this is a conversation. So we're bringing the topics, we're bringing the things that we've seen that we thought, this may be something that we need to talk about. So, but it's a conversation for us all. So don't be shy. You can jump in and add to the conversation, join in, use the chat, put it all out there. Let us know whether you agree, disagree, whatever your opinion. Remember, it matters and is welcomed here. Also, if you have a question, please type please type a Q. Oh my God. Wait, it
Exactly.
is 6
Yes.
o'clock. Wait, I had to stop. Like, oh my God, I'm complaining. And it is for real early. Oh, bless your whole entire heart.
Yes. That's commitment on a
That's
Saturday.
commitment. Oh
I
my God.
appreciate it.
I will never complain again. I won't say another word.
Ah,
Never say a mumbling word. Not at all. If you have a question, please type Q first so that we know it is a question and we don't miss it. All right, all right. So again, welcome, welcome. For those who are just joining us, or if you're watching the replay, again, welcome. Today, we are talking unmasking AI bias, a new era in healthcare regulation. hmm But first, let's get into our church announcements, shall we? Yes, we shall. Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Oh. I think I finally found the spot for your whole. I got a whole care package for you. Everything over. Come on, Martin. Yes, yes. All right, all right. So, in today's church announcement, um, I think I mentioned last week about the AHIMA town hall. Be on the lookout for some interesting conversation on that particular. I think it's June 12th, if I remember correctly. But don't forget to register. Don't forget to register. And they're looking for, what did they say? 6,000 folks. They were trying to get a whole bunch of folks. So I don't know what they're using. I think they're using StreamYard. So check that out.
okay.
I think they was following us, but I think they're using like their webinar platform. Um, so I'm going to be real interested to see what comes from that. But so we talked about the documentary "Breaking the Silence" documentary about nurses, and we've had a live showing here. We had the premiere, we had the live showing. We are having another one here for Juneteenth. But I sit on the board for the organization that co-produced the documentary Black Women Cultivating Change. And I was at our board meeting, and what did I hear at the board meeting was that this was going to premiere in the city of brotherly love. And guess who's in the city of brotherly love? My co-host, Mr. Jesse. So I said, well, wait a minute. Are we about to make another trek to Philly?
And the screening in Philadelphia is going to be co-sponsored by the coding nurse.
You better stop that. Oh, okay. See. So I didn't know whether or not, any of my connections had anything to do with that. But since all of that is happening, I'm going to take that credit.
Well, you should, because Raquel, who was organizing it, when she watched it, she was like, "Oh my God, Clarice was in it."
I'm actually not in it,
Well,
but involved.
yeah,
Involved, adjacent,
yeah.
part of the board.
She saw you in the picture at the
Saw
screening.
me in the picture at the screening. Correct. I was there supporting the board, and supporting all of the nurses and supporting all of the things. Supporting all of the things. Trust and believe. I think I supported them and celebrated with them for 2 days. They won't be out. So okay, well, I can't take a little credit. Look what networking and bringing folks together does. Look at God. Yay. So with that being said, I think I'm planning that trip. I believe it's August the 2nd that you are having your screening, and so if y'all want to come join us, we may have a possible live Saturday morning tea on August the 3rd. We tried to do this 2 years ago, and I had a ball in Philly, but but my co-host was ill, and so we couldn't pull it off. But we may try this again. So think about what you got going on, and get them coins together in that bag, and maybe come on out. I have to get more details from you guys on like where the showing and all of that. You know I love that Embassy Suites that I stayed at, so that's probably where I'll be again. But we can figure it out. Y'all can tell me where I need to be. So I was so excited about that. So that's the church announcement. Look at that. Now I didn't know it was co-sponsored. So the whole trademark name, the coding nurse, is gonna be in lights. Look at God. Won't he do it?
I already sent her my logo to put on the.
You gonna be on the banner on like the you know how they have the backdrop where we take pictures and all of that?
I would think so.
She needs to do it all up.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, excited. Oh, yes. Oh, wow. See? Oh, because I thought when I'm sitting at the meeting, I'm like, Philadelphia? Like, I mean, nothing against y'all or nothing, but I'm like, that's real random. How y'all gonna? Never put it together. That's why I sent it to you. Like, hey, guess what? Little did I know, y'all the ones, the machine behind the machine pushing it. So,
And can I tell you, it is a gazillion and 20 nurses in Philly.
yeah.
Oh my God, it's a ton, and a ton of
Yes.
a bunch.
Yes. Oh, this is gonna be. So I'm sure they're gonna love this. Yes. I'm excited. Oh, definitely. So yeah. Oh wait, I ain't even looking at. Look at the big things popping. All right. We got the usher hands. I missed her. Crafty Coder says, okay, Carolyn, I was just in that time zone for a week. Came back yesterday. California versus East Coast time is brutal. Oh, yes. On the comeback. Mm-hmm. When you get there, you kind of figure it out. When you come back, it's like, who? What? What is going on? All right. Good morning, Renita. She said, let me see what Southwest talking about. All right. Come through. That will be so much fun. That will be fun. All right. So that was my church announcement. Mr. Jesse, did you have any additional look? Because you didn't throw my whole thing. You got any additional church announcements you want to mention? I love it though. I love it. Look, so even though you daggone nurses, I'd be trying to whatever. But here we are. But this is something for you. And I really, the documentary is very well put together. And like I said, I learned something new. And it made me think about just not only do we see, this type of issue and discrimination in nursing, but we also see it in health information as well. It's like, so it's probably, I'm sure it's in other industries as well, but it's probably just rampant throughout all of healthcare. And some of it is out there in your face, and some of it is real, real passive aggressive, if I will. So yeah, this will be a good thing. Interesting. So the showing will be August the 2nd. So the actual documentary showing is August the 2nd, which is a Friday. And so I figured we could stay over and do our live Saturday morning tea on the 3rd. Yes. All right, all right, all right. Okay, let me get out of this. I'll be listening to this music all day. Okay, okay. Let's see. Did any audience members have any church announcements going on? Anything they wanted to share? I forgot there is kind of a slight delay, so I have to look and see. Got thumbs up. Okay. All right. Well, I see the crafty coder is back from her vacation. Hopefully she had a wonderful time, and clearly she didn't freeze
There
all the
you
way.
go.
She's back.
I was like, hopefully she's warm now.
I know. She's back in the tropical weather she's used to. All right, all right. Well, let the tea spilling begin. So, I ran across this article this week um, from Jennifer Bresnick in the um, DHI or DH Insights. And it talked about one of our friends over here, AI. And but it was from a different perspective. So it's the article, which is linked in the description, says Feds target healthcare AI bias, but how will it work? So the OCR and CMS, or Office of Civil Rights, is OCR, and CMS is Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, have issued a new rule that prohibits bias in AI algorithms. But will it be able to tell? Will we be able to tell before it's too late? And that was a very, very, very interesting question, considering what I learned about all of these scientific reports and articles around some of the AI algorithms of the past. Um, because this is not new. They've been doing this, having these AI stuff for years. She came back to a pop in 92 degrees. Bless your heart. Um, so it says article talks about bias in AI, or artificial intelligence algorithms, is one of the biggest problems facing the healthcare industry as we move into the real world adoption phase for these new technologies, with the clinical sphere being particularly vulnerable to issues stemming from skewed data and flawed interpretation of results. That was a mouthful. Um, there are several examples of the harm that AI has done. In other industries, they talked about Amazon had a hiring algorithm that discriminated against female candidates, basically pulled all their stuff out. um, and the Compass recidivism tool that deemed Black defendants at a much higher risk of committing new crimes than their white counterparts. Both of those were older. I think uh, the reports or the information on both of those tools were back in 2015, 2016. Um, but she also mentioned that healthcare hasn't been spared from any criticism either. Um, one widely used algorithm appeared to significantly underestimate the illness burdens and clinical risk of Black patients due to its questionable risk scoring methodology. This was found back in 2019. And then more recently, United Health and Cigna have been sued for using AI tools that allegedly improperly denied claims on a broad scale. So, as and we know that AI is the buzzword for 2024. Um, they are using it in various functions, but clinically, it's driven as a clinical support tool. Um, and risk scoring algorithms are on the rise. They're really trying to fend for the top spot, if you will, to get the all of these different organizations and companies are fending for the top spot to be on top with the place to get all of the algorithms and all of the information that you need from an AI perspective that will assist assist healthcare providers in their clinical decision support. Um, Even after a new final rule from the Office of Civil Rights and CMS that prohibits discrimination in AI based on common factors such as gender, age, race, and ethnicity. Um, they believe that there's still going to be bias, more accusation of bias in the headlines. But the issue is, yes, we hear about the things in the headlines, but what about the stuff we don't hear about? What about those um, that don't make the news? Um, One of the things that was in this article, and I know you guys would you're gonna love it, is um, even though it says even the most well-intentioned regulations rely to some degree on whistleblowers. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, dee we definitely
Mhm.
gonna talk. So, folks coming forward, folks seeing something and saying something. Remember, we always say, if you see something, say something. Um, and then while there are a lot of very ethical, eagle-eyed observers out there with the willingness to jump in when they notice an issue, the biggest challenge with bias is its insidious nature. So we don't know what we don't know when it comes to AI, especially during these early stages of maturity. And sometimes what we think we know is actually influenced by algorithms themselves, as a study indicated. Algorithms are trained on biased data. Algorithms that are trained on biased data will return biased results. Researchers found, which often continue to influence human decision making, even when those humans are asked to complete similar tasks without the assistance of AI. So, to combat the sneaky poison of biased data and biased thinking in the AI ecosystem, we will need to gain a better understanding of what bias really means, where it begins, how it propagates through systems, and how we can avoid or reverse its effects on patient care. Let's see. Crafty Coder says, indeed, wait a minute, let me move over so I can see you. Indeed, the AI picking as well. They asked, do you want to allow AI review of your application? Oh, wow. And Carolyn mentioned AI hallucination. That's so scary to me. Like it reminds me of what's that movie? I Robot. Like where they trained it to do something and then all of a sudden it just was like, no, I'm gonna do me. And here we are. And all of a sudden the glitch and that's part that's scary to me. Mr. Jesse, I don't know if you want to jump in at any time. You always have the floor.
I just think like this whole AI discussion is just another thing where it's all about uh just diversity, because all this is very simple if you have diverse people, if you have women, if you have minority, if you have people of color, but black people in the creation, all this can be talked about during the development. Because I heard this saying a long time ago, and it is so true. And it's like, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Mm, mm. Why? See, I'm sorry. just had a vision of Dahmer. Because if
Mhm.
you on the menu, you may be eating up. Y'all may be
Mhm.
slicing it too.
For
Pulled people
real.
sandwiches. Wow. Wow. But I like that quote. I like that quote.
Mhm.
Um, so one of the things she says is really we need to define the scope of quote clinical AI for she said me too for regulatory purposes. The first task is getting a clear perspective on what we truly mean when we talk about AI tools in the clinical space. Um, so the rule is under Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act that notes that industry leaders are, quote, hungry for more clarity around how regulation of certain types of tools is going to apply. During the public comment period, respondents repeatedly questioned or requested that OCR provide more detailed definitions of what constitutes a, quote, clinical algorithm, end quote, and whether the term includes hybrid clinical administrative tools, such as those used by insurers to make claim decisions. In response, um, they were talking about your quote. In response, OCR and CMS have adopted the term quote patient care decision support tool end quote to acknowledge the AI driven algorithms that involve clinical data alongside administrative or operational applications are subject to the non-discrimination rules. It says we define patient care decision support tool to mean any automated or non-automated tool, mechanism, method, technology, or combination thereof used by a HIPAA covered entity to support clinical decision making in its health programs or activities. The definition applies to tools that are used by a covered entity in its clinical decision making that affect the patient care that individuals receive. Um, they also point out that the new rules are geared toward end users of AI tools and are designed to work in tandem with the HTI-1 regulations from the Office of the National Coordinator, or ONC, which are, or the ONC, which are focused on the developers of AI applications. Theoretically, this will cover all angles and help ensure that all AI stakeholders are held to similar degrees of accountability. Now, the roots of bias in the algorithm, again, we know poor data will produce poor results. And to Mr. Jesse's point, it's imperative to use diverse and representative data when training and validating algorithms. Um, to kind of reduce that bias. But developers and the users who are responsible for applying the results to patient care decisions also have to be careful when setting the parameters for what they hope to achieve and how they are going to architect the algorithm's decision making process. Um, so, we talked a little bit about the 2019 study about the algorithm that underestimated the risk scores of Black patients. Well, the developers assumed that higher clinical complexity would, of course, result in more spending, which could serve as a proxy for current and future risk. However, they failed to account for the fact that many Black patients experience socioeconomic and geographical barriers to care due to deeply rooted systemic inequities. If people from these communities can't get access to the right care in the first place, their spending will actually be lower than other populations. Yet their clinical burdens are likely to be just as high or higher, and the lack of access to appropriate care means their outcomes will likely be even worse than higher spending groups. So, making sure that they understand what's going into the data, the populations surrounding the data, all of this stuff is part of what they're seeing as it relates to the bias in these algorithms. Because even though the development team may have used data that was diverse and appropriately representative of the populations under scrutiny, incorrect assumptions about how to process that data may have led to potential harm for the populations involved. They almost certainly didn't intend for the misalignment to happen, but it's a strong example of how subtle bias can be and the difficulty of sniffing out issues in models that appear on the surface to be doing things right. So, best practices for identifying and avoiding bias in the care environment. So again, with this new rule, regulators are taking an increasingly close look at these and other issues that could be problematic as the AI era unfolds. And it's encouraging to see that they are keen to hold end users to the same standards as developers when it comes to being responsible for preventing harm. For bias to be effectively, quote, banned in healthcare, we can't rely on overstretched regulators to be able to take a deep dive into every single algorithm that hits the market or every single one that is developed in house and applied on a smaller scale. If we want anti bias efforts to work, end users are going to have to step up to the plate to proactively monitor the tools they put in place for reliability and trustworthiness. In addition, they must feel confident that exposing bias and admitting to the need for corrective action will actually enhance their reputations as a responsible member of the healthcare community, especially since consumers are widely demanding transparency and accountability in the AI world. This will require a major cultural shift in many cases, as corporate entities are not always known for their willingness to be transparent when things go awry, as we saw with Change Healthcare. To meet growing expectations and become true partners in what is likely to become a Herculean task, healthcare providers and health plans will also need to develop the skills to spot dodgy results before they trickle down through their organizations. Here are some questions that they can start asking, beginning with the basics. First is, what is the purpose of this model or tool? How will it help with making decisions, and how will those decisions be used to affect key outcomes for patients or healthcare or health plan members? Two, what data is being used to train and validate this algorithm? Is it a representative of the population we serve? What about the subpopulation we are targeting for a specific use case? Next, if the available data is not appropriately representative, can we apply techniques to bulk up the data in a safe and accurate way, such as using historical or synthetic data? How transparent is the algorithm's decision making process? What elements is it using to make decisions, and how do these elements track with existing decision making processes? If there are differences, can those new methods be justified or explained? How can we measure bias? What distinct types of bias are we looking for? And what will we use as a comparator to gauge the direction and degree of drift? How are humans going to be involved and remain involved in the training, vetting, deployment, and monitoring processes? What will the mechanism for providing what will be the mechanism for providing feedback? And what is the plan for integrating feedback to continually improve accuracy and trustworthiness? And lastly, what happens if harm does result from an algorithm? How will we address it? What is our liability? And how can we protect our organization while taking appropriate responsibility for our actions? So, again, closing out this article, the bottom line is that federal regulators will not be able to address and eliminate bias all on their own. Developers and end users are going to have to make a concerted effort to be upfront about their challenges and willing to admit when mistakes occur. Probably again through a whistleblower if they don't come out um, uh, from the jump. Ideally, as the regulatory environment evolves, there will be safe harbors carved out for reporting biases and non punitive support from federal agencies for taking corrective action. Advocating for these measures will be important as the market matures. So, again, here you're in this early development kind of phase where AI is maturing. Here's the time where you can AI developer and end users kind of put yourselves in a place where you can um, be successful in implementing comprehensive anti-bias frameworks as you begin or as you are in the initial stages of your AI journeys. Again, you if you see something, say something, question it.
Right. So,
It's
so that's my question. Like, how do you even? What is the career path to even get into AI development?
say again.
As what is the career path to even get into AI development?
That's a good question. I would think um, getting into you some IT something. I would think at the bare minimum, um, learning like what you're doing, the coding, the IT coding stuff, understanding these programs, how to take data, analyze it, um, and writing the code to pull this data for whatever it is. So whatever your question is, whatever you're looking for, whatever you're trying to prove, if you think about it from a scientific perspective, where um, you're investigating and doing research, and you want to support or not support whatever your hypothesis is, then you're taking what somebody humanly would do when they do run the study, get all the data, manually do all this. You're putting together an algorithm that allows your AI to do that thing for you. So I guess it still, I think, would fall within the whole IT framework.
Because, like, because it seems to me that the word algorithm is synonymous with AI because that's what this algorithm basically shows you certain things or makes a prediction based off of what was in it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like algorithm development, like that. Because what I'm going to do in Python later on today is not at all predictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's just strictly manipulating data, but that's not an algorithm.
Right.
So,
And I'm looking up the that specific terms. And so an algorithm is a set of commands that must be followed for a computer to perform calculations or other problem solving operations. According to its formal definition, an algorithm is a finite set of instructions carried out in a specific order to perform a particular task.
but everybody talks about like how these algorithms like show you things, so that's kind of predictive because like we've all done it. Like if you Google something and then you go on Instagram or TikTok, next thing you know, you see an ad for that very same thing. So there's some kind of something going on in the background to, this person likes, XYZ. So, let's show them more XYZ.
Mm.
So then, because until we get in it, and when I say we, I mean like anybody who is, non-white, it, this is going to be a continual thing because we have to get into to show how we can do it rather than rely on somebody else to do it.
True, true. And so again, I think it's that that whole and I don't know specifically, and maybe I can look that up too. Like, how do you get into algorithm development or AI development?
Because I hear people talk about like large language models and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but what is it like? It's just, what does it mean? Like, you're saying that to say what? Like,
Or so it's a, how do you become an AI developer? Google AI Essentials courses. So they have courses that train you. There are several AI developer programs. AI developers need a strong understanding of programming languages like Python, R, Java, and I don't C plus plus. I don't know what that means.
Mhm.
Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Okay. As well as data structures and classes. They should also be proficient in statistical analysis and data visualization and know how to work with large data sets using tools like SQL, Hadoop, or Spark. Other important skills include problem solving, which involves identifying problems, analyzing data, and developing solutions, and machine learning, which is essential for developing AI applications. This is becoming an AI developer. Four skills you'll need: um, programming and software development. This says it's pretty much the same thing. Programming, software development knowledge, software engineering knowledge, machine learning and AI techniques, data handling and analysis.
Okay.
So, learning computer science and programming languages, um, master machine learning and deep learning concepts, develop skills in data science and analytics, gain hands on experience with AI projects, learn and use frameworks and tools. Um, Popular frameworks include TensorFlow, PyTorch, and Keras. These frameworks provide functionalities for developing and training various types of neural networks. Um, Also, AI developers should be familiar with tools and libraries for data manipulation and analysis, such as NumPy, Pandas.
Oh, that's all in Python.
Okay. Look, I'm like, whoo. All right. This is a whole new world, a whole different language that they're talking right now. Develop soft skills for effective collaboration. Stay updated and continuously learn. So, all of those things. So, yeah, it's all under that whole IT piece.
Okay.
Hmm. You well on your way, sir.
I don't know that I'm not interested in that part of it.
uh, 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 uh. Mm-mm. Wow. Yeah. So interesting. I mean, we know about the bias. We've experienced the bias.
Hmm.
So interesting that we now have. Oh, there was another article that was from that she was quoting the racial bias in an algorithm used to manage the healthcare population. It was in a science research article that talked about um, what actually happened, how they determined, that the authors estimated that the racial bias reduced the number of Black patients identified for extra care by more than half, and how the bias um, in this particular algorithm impacted the results. So good study. But yeah, to your point, and I think you said it when you gave your quote. If we're not sitting at the table, we're gonna be on the menu.
And we really have to do something for the younger generations to make them interested in things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it start, that's why, like, it's just, it is such a compound effect of bias and discrimination, because all of this starts with, like, this is why when you're in high school they expose you to higher level math, because it's to help you to think critically, so when you start to learn these kinds of languages, or these kind of concepts, it's not foreign, like it's not a struggle.
Correct. And I see a lot of people. jokingly, well, why do I need calculus? Why do I need, all of those higher math? All I need to do is count my money. No, absolutely not. So that you can position yourself to be at the table or build the table for these other areas. But the big thing, or the big takeaway, the unsaid takeaway, as they talk about all of this data that is being um, that's part of um, the data that they're used for the algorithms or for the decision report. Remember where that data comes from. That data comes from us. It's coded data. They're using the codes from whatever the diagnoses are, whatever the procedures are, and we're the champions there. So again, it's important. That's why they are have determined that medical coding is also a STEM profession, because we are in this whole scientific and nosology that we learned from last time. We're in a scientific field, and we have to carry and market ourselves as such. So it's not just the the task of I see a diagnosis, I apply a code. No, again, you have to even think critically, because you have to then apply all the things that your guidelines, your the conventions, what the payers say, all of those things is part of that. And so I think this is a great opportunity. I mean, I applaud you, Mr. Jesse, on your um foresight, even in learning all this stuff in Spanish, but your I've been chuckling on that all week. But your foresight in seeing that data analysis, and I think you made that prediction here as well. Data analysis is the next step to this, the next big piece to this. So um, because they have to be able to interpret the data, they have to understand what it means, and who best to assist them in that effort than those of us who work with this data every day.
Exactly.
I mean, so this right here, um, to me, this was eye opening. In hey, don't put yourself in a box, because even the box that you might want to jump in, or the area that you might want to jump in, might not even exist yet. This is maybe carving that lane, carving that new career path, but making sure that you take what you know and master what you know, and think about how this shift is moving. Really sit back and critically think, okay, if I want to get here, and this here may not necessarily exist, what steps do I need to be prepared to get here? And then how, if something shifts, how can I pivot from that? So really thinking through, it's one thing to be like, yeah, I just want to be in the business of healthcare, but what if something happens that changes how the business of healthcare looks? Where will that put you? Where will you position yourself? And think, further than that. And or how can I, if you are on the entrepreneur track, how can I get in this game? What do I need to be able to put my hat in the ring to say, whoa, 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 we offer so and so and so. I think it was on YouTube. There was a art interview with a gentleman that had recently he's in AI, and he has a top AI something that he just recently built, that he received like 13 point something $1 million, and somebody tried to undercut him, like, well, in this field, $13 million is like $5. He was like, well, it's $5 more than other people had, like, I'm still out here, I'm still learning, I'm still getting it, and assisting um the AI community as a top contender in this field. I show them what I know. We have a team. We collaborate. We get all our stuff together, and whatever it is that he's doing, folks is liking it, and they contribute, and they hard on coins to it, um, to help him along the way. So, yeah, think about that. This is an opportunity with some of the things that you can go in, and while we think uh healthcare physician provider, hospital entity. It's a whole shift over here. Uh, AI developers, I'll just, hey, you know what? Do you have somebody in here that understands, especially if you're in healthcare, that understands this part? No? Well, I may be your person.
The thing that I just have never understood, and it's just mind-boggling to me, and I had this happen in my last training. I have never understood why is I don't know. I'm not even going to say it's human nature, but I just don't know why people are so afraid of change. I mean, because like at towards the end of the second training session, somebody asked me my opinion on when they were going to they were going to come out with ICD-11. I said, well, in some countries they already use it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but in the United States, from what I read, it's going to be they're somewhere around 2027. I said, that's what I read. I said, I don't know for sure. So then her response was, oh, good, because I'll be retired by then.
Well, that's what they said for ICD-10, and a whole bunch of them flew the coop.
But I'm trying to understand, like, if you understand the concept of coding, the code is irrelevant. They could come out with ICD-13. If these conventions are going to still be in place, it's just a different code. That's all.
Yeah.
So I don't I just because the world is going to move on with or without you. And I remember like when I first got into nursing, like there were nurses who hated the computer. I mean, and we had to use it back then for like basic things like labs or
Mm-hmm.
to print out stuff. But they even hated that. Like some of them didn't even know how to even log in.
Mm.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is the future. And that is, I think I've shared this before, but that is one of the best decisions I ever made. In 95, I turned 30 years old. And I said to myself, because they were talking about Windows 95, because it came out in August. My birthday is in July.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? This is going to be big, and I'm not going to be left behind. I bought a computer and a laser printer. Back then, a laser printer was $500.
Right. You was balling back there.
Oh, back then I was. So, um, but it is the best decision I ever made. And then because you have to use technology, then when I went to my IT program and learned like computer repair,
Mm-hmm.
because people have such a misconception of computers. Like once I learned how to take them apart and open it up, it's like, oh, it's really nothing.
It's just this little thing right here with all these little
Exactly.
zigzags on it that need to be bolted down in the
The most important thing you have to do when doing any kind of computer repair is ground yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You put your little thing on the wrist and clip it to the metal, and you keep it moving. I was doing all that. I was putting in hard drives and adding memory.
Lord
I mean, you couldn't tell
Jesus.
me
What
nothing.
did you not do? Sorry.
But it was because I just knew all this was coming, and I'm not. No, no, no.
I don't understand. I don't. When you mention change, the crazy part is you'll hear folks be like, "Oh yeah, we need to change this and third." But two things normally happen. One, they don't necessarily they say they want change, but they really don't. Particularly if that change impacts them. Oh yeah, they over there need to change, but we over here we good. We don't, And so they're trying to rationalize what about them other folks that need to change that again makes things better for them, but they don't associate that the whole thing needs to change, including you and whatever it is that you do. And then when someone identifies that and points it out, oh no, we don't want that. They don't know who we are, what we do, or we've always done it this way. That's the phrase that can live in infamy. We've always done it this way. We're gonna continue to do this way. Da 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 da. No, no, no.
And but also like I have to blame. AHIMA and AAPC for a lot of this because they should have been in front of the messaging for the since ICD-10 came out.
Yeah.
They should have been at the forefront in 2014 before it went into effect in 2015.
Yeah.
And their message, but matter of fact, they didn't have messaging.
They didn't, and they let these providers lead, which is why we had the additional year extension. Like, no, you know how important the need for this was because you're running out of numbers in this book. You can't add anymore. You can't make things specific as they need to be. So they should have really been pushing and providing that education not only to their constituents and their members, but also to their customer at the time would have been the providers because they were the ones that were putting a stick in the mud saying no. And unfortunately, because of the result of what happened with 10, it's going to make it even harder to get them to agree or come around with 11, seeing that there are still some differences and some changes even from 10 to 11. So it's not even necessarily um the nomenclature with how the codes will be assigned, but that it's going into these data sets, it's going into kind of a database kind of format, which makes it easier for vendors and all of the electronic computer stuff that is coming down the horizon. All of that is, I think, is freaking people out because again, fear of the unknown. And no.
I just, my only concern, and I've said this from the beginning, I just think the ICD-11 needs to have a book because these encoders are only as good as the people who create them, and encoders will never, ever, ever provide you with the detail that a book can. They just don't because they're not trying to put the time into it.
Right. It's like reading the story in a book and then going to see the movie. 9 times out of 10, it's a whole damn different movie. You're like, well, wait a
Mhm.
minute. What? None of this was in the book. This wasn't said. This wasn't done. So I agree. Um, but trust and believe, it's too, folks make money hand over foot with these books. I don't think that's going away.
Oh, I agree.
I don't think that's going away. They'll take that and figure it out and have somebody interpret what all of that means and put it in and slap it in a book. Trust and believe. The
Look,
books
now
ain't going away.
the book might weigh 5 pounds more, but there's going to be a book.
It's gonna be a book. Unless they change the damn font to 7 points instead of.
Oh
Well, I
Lord.
remember when they changed that one font. Everybody was like, "We can't read this. Nobody can read this. Who's doing this?" It was horrible. I remember that year. Everybody was sending stuff back like, "Nah, nobody's doing this."
I was just so glad that my job, the first job I had, they provided us with Optum books. I've been using Optum ever since because
I love Optum books. I do
they would
too.
give us books every 2 years, and the second year they sent us some AHIMA books. I was like, oh no 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 no!
Yeah, I don't fool with
I
nobody
bought
else's
my
book.
own.
I
No
have
no.
my Optum books for my um ICD-10 and HICPIC stuff, and then the AMA is they cornered the market. Look, they was smart. Don't even get me started of the people over there, but they was smart, cornered the market, and you can only get CPT books from the AMA. So they always gonna have a book. Trust and believe.
Mhm.
Okay, what did Miss Carolyn say? Miss Carolyn said, have you seen all those videos of teachers leaving education? They are saying the kids can't even read in junior high and high school. They also say the kids can't concentrate. Yeah. Um we got I'm I don't even know where to begin. I'm nervous about the future, particularly with these kids because they're passing them through. They're not, and let me just speak for what I know. They're passing these kids through. These kids, some of them, not all of them, some of them. But I also think that parents have a huge responsibility in this. Um, you should know whether or not your child can read. Your child should be reading to you. You should be reading to your child. You should be your child's first teacher in anything, in everything. Period. And not relying on that teacher to teach your child. There should be a reinforcement of what you've already taught your child from school, because then that allows your child to to be positioned to automatically have to critically think about, my mama said this, or my daddy said this, and the teacher said this. What what does this look like? So then they can then have begin to have conversations about, what it is I'm learning. Well, who's right, who's wrong? That puts them in a position to do that. Of course, respectfully, because you don't want any child to get in trouble if they question they parents' authority. But it puts them in a position, as we know, where, oh, okay, I see I'm getting different viewpoints. How do I make sense of the viewpoints that I'm getting? So it allows them at a very young age to do that. But there is, I feel some kind of way that a parent would not know that their child cannot read and having a whole fit about a teacher teaching their child to read. When I feel, and this is my opinion, these opinions that are going on are mine and mine only, that parent should be the first uh, teacher in that child's life for anything, including reading, more so reading, math, all of the things.
What did you see? I want to say it's been within the last 2 years. This woman in Baltimore was on the news because her son was about to graduate and he couldn't read. And she was on the news because she was blaming the school. Like, you learn how to read in elementary school, like not high school. And
No.
all of this, and this is the thing that people don't understand, all of this is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And what people are not understanding, and this is why, like, I don't know what people think. I don't, and God bless them, because their children. Listen. So anyway, let me just get to the story. There are states right now that are trying to implement child labor laws. They are getting ready to have, just like they did back in the 30s before all these regulations came about, they're going to have child labor. Oh, you don't want to go to school? Or, oh, you can't read that well? Come over here and do this labor. Because the whole thing is, the education system was never designed to educate you. It was designed to make you conformant. Like, you get used to the ringing of the bell and all that, your lunch breaks, being task oriented, being sat down to do a certain thing for a certain amount of time, then you move on. Like,
Mm,
it's not, it was never to educate, ever,
mm,
ever, ever. That was only for a certain group of people, because
mm,
how children are educated when their parents pay 30, 40, $50,000 a year is very different when you go to public school nowadays.
mm-hmm.
Before, it really wasn't much of a difference because I had an amazing public education. Amazing. I could sit with the best of them academically. So, but it's a whole different school system now. And none of this is new. I I had mentioned this man's name before. Back when when Oprah was really, really soul sister number one. She had this man, because she started in
That's my
Chicago.
tea.
This man from Chicago named Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu wrote
Mm-hmm.
the whole, oh my God.
Yes.
His series,
Yes.
Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, should be common. It should be required reading for every Black parent and grandparent in America,
Mm-hmm.
because he opened my eyes, and it was around about the time my nephew was going. I was experiencing exactly what he was saying. Like, it is an assault on Black children from kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. That prison to pipeline, or that education to
Mhm.
pipeline, third grade to pipeline thing is real. Real, real.
And then you have these people, and I just had this conversation with my friend. One of our good friends, like, and you think just because you live in a certain neighborhood and your child goes to a certain school, it's the same.
It's the same.
It doesn't matter that your house is $750,000. Your child is not going to have the same experience as your neighbor's child. Period. And if you think that you a fool.
And again, you have a responsibility to make sure that your child is educated. Is educated. Period. But how that just floors me. Even the um lawsuit of about a parent thinking that suing the school. Did you? Because I defense that would be my first question. Well, did you ever read to your child? Did your child ever read to you? Did because you should know whether you're or not your child can read.
In Michigan, there is a law. It went to the Michigan Supreme Court. This might have been last year or sometime recently, because so much goes on. But in
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, the Michigan Supreme Court determined that the the public education in Michigan is not required to teach your child. So you know what that's saying.
Mm-hmm. So they babysit. Well, and unfortunately, we've all seen where it's become kind of more social services. They're providing all kinds of social work with these children. That's horrible.
Yes.
That's horrible. So while we talking about trying to get the kids to the, I don't even. Well, that's a whole other thing. While we trying to, talk about getting these kids into, we got bigger fish to fry. But again, I feel like it's a parental responsibility.
I
Get those
agree.
stuff together and teach your kid.
I agree.
Teach your kid. Oh my goodness, Lord, Lord, Lord. But I bet you they got the newest and greatest outfit on. I
And
bet you
and phone.
the newest and greatest phone. They uh encouraging them to do all the other things. Like I ain't never seen so many parties for kids in my life that are like weddings.
Exactly. I mean, I don't understand. Like, what you graduating kindergarten is that's a need for a pony and a bouncy house?
I just don't understand. Like, really? Is this what we doing? Oh, child. I don't understand. But I mean, to each his own. But shouldn't your child be able to read though, as a result of
Here's the
that?
thing. But here's the thing. Can their parents read? Because I've seen some
Well,
people,
now, well, there you go.
because I know some people, I would not ask them for directions. I would end up in Alaska trying to get to West Philly.
I cannot. I cannot. Oh, child. Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, Carolyn, it's Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. And he also has another book called To Be Popular or Smart, the Black Peer Group.
Oh, I like that. I
Mhm.
never read that one. I need to find that. I need to find that. Oh, this was good. Even though we
Mhm.
went uh on a different tangent, but
We went
a
from
needed
AI to
tangent.
social services.
Yeah, but a needed tangent.
And
Um,
just one,
Go ahead.
Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. It's a 4-volume series, and the books are not long. And it's like maybe 60 pages in each one, but it's like a 4-volume. They were paperback when I bought them.
Yeah, I remember the paperback version, but I never read the other one that you said. Yeah, they agree. It's not the teacher's fault, it's the parents.
Hmm.
iPads are, oh my God, I be everywhere and everybody got a little iPad watching cartoons. Put a book on that iPad and let them read. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
I would agree, because when you get used to that kind of simulation, the book is not going to hold you
Mm-mm.
because you don't have any imagination.
Or encouraging audiobooks. Read the book.
Yes.
Read the book. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Well, we see how it all works together. Huh?
Mhm.
One thing's for certain. We gonna keep digging till we figure it out and make the connections. Um, Especially, these children are our future. We're trying to encourage young folks into our profession. They and I'll end with this story. which drove me crazy because, we've talked about some of these quote coding and billing schools and programs. And um, I remember this lady, she was older. She was an older lady. Um, I was so upset because I felt like it was strictly a money grab. You were taking this woman's money, and it wasn't necessarily her money, but she was getting money in order to come. So she had, loans stacked up and all kinds of stuff in order to come to get this coding and billing certificate from this institution. This lady couldn't read. I said, man, first I said, well, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is, first of all, she could barely write, but I was like, what is this? And so I go back and talk to, the counselor, talk to the people, like, before I have this conversation, I need some background on this student, because my thing is, have the conversation. How can I help you? I need to know what I'm walking into, because I'm like, this wrong, ma'am. You know me. Nope. Next, where we going? And oh no, yeah, we know. She's taking I don't even think she had her GED at the time. So she's taking courses to get her GED and learn how to read alongside these coding classes. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Y'all setting her up for failure. Oh, I was so upset. And I told her, I said, I don't know who told you to come in over on this side. I don't even know who told you to even enroll in college. But ma'am, you got to first set your foundation, because you're going to fail. And I, in good conscience, cannot move you forward. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do that. That's against everything I love and know. No, 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 no. So they eventually took her out of my class and put her somewhere else with somebody, I guess, who felt comfortable in, oh, you're doing a great job. Da 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 da. I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl. So yeah. And I feel, just in having this conversation, we're going to get more of this. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the meeting, after the meeting. uh, so, because I want to see those videos that she got too. Okay. Um, so as we are definitely over the top of the hour, because this has been great. This has been a great conversation. Um, did you know, by becoming a Patreon of ours, you're joining a community of individuals who share a deep appreciation for the intricacies of healthcare revenue cycle and all other things related? Here are what you can expect as a valued Patreon and a member of the Tea Sippers, who we are called. Exclusive healthcare insights. You gain access to in-depth articles, webinars, and resources covering the latest healthcare trends, compliance updates, and revenue cycle best practices. Early access. Be the first to receive our expert insights and guides, ensuring you stay ahead in the ever evolving healthcare industry. Personalized support. Enjoy direct access to our team of experts for guidance on medical coding, compliance issues, and revenue cycle management. We're here to answer your questions and support your professional growth. And last but certainly not least, community connection. Join a private community of healthcare professionals where you can network, share experiences, and collaborate on finding solutions to common challenges, like this reading thing. Okay, so by supporting us on Patreon, you're not only advancing your healthcare knowledge and career, but also contributing to the success of others, as well as us here at the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, a resource that empowers healthcare professionals like you to thrive in their roles. So, thank you for considering becoming a Patreon. You can check out the link in the description of the video. You can also check out patreon.com/Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls. Um, we look forward to helping you excel in the world of health information. Yay! Okay, so I am going to still make that a commercial, but until then, I'll be reading every week. So, again, thank you all for joining the Saturday morning tea. Was the tea spilled today? Do you feel the tea? Put the teacups in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Um, If this information was valuable for you, help us share this message with others by sharing the video and subscribing to the channel. Be sure to follow us the Professional Reimbursement Network, for more information on all things health information, compliance, revenue cycle, and medical coding. And as you leave, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. It helps with the algorithm.
Oh,
Also, check out the Coding Nurse channel on YouTube and subscribe to his channel as well. Again, this has been a great session today. Mr. Jesse, do you have any final thoughts or any final words?
no, it was another great session.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So, CUT sippers. Oh, in 1 minute at 10:15. Again, thank you all for joining. And remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, have a great weekend.
Tengas un muy buen fin de semana.
Oh my gosh. Bye.